let's record this presentation. Okay. Now, this is the beginning of the chapter. I'm not sure if it starts out as this is the first slide or not, but it kind of gives us some perspective of where we are. It's like the opening of chapter 13. I put it in here because I wanted to, in the hopes that some of you would just take a little bit of time to look at this so we can see where we are in the world of A&P, specifically the physiology part. Where are we? What are some of the things that we're going to be encountering? That's kind of where I wanted to take a look and kind of put this there to help you get perspective on that. Now, I'm not sure how I can make an exam question out of this. I could potentially remove the lettering and then enter it in some points and then ask you to fill in, like if I put, let's say, or motor, and then this one should be sensory division, right? And I put this and I number this. What is number 1? I could potentially do that. Same thing with this. If from the motor, you have a somatic and an autonomic, and I give you the somatic. Well, the one over here should be autonomic. And then from your autonomic, we should have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic division. So I could potentially do that. I have not made one of those types of questions before, but I might. So I wanted to give you a heads up on that. I also want to share this information with you because it is important that we understand this part here. Remember, in the central nervous system, we're really focused on brains and spinal cord and other parts of tissue and other CNS tissues. Here it gets a little bit more diverse, literally branches out to the peripheral of the CNS. So it gets a little bit more here. That's not to take away from the brain. Pretty, as we've already taken a look, it gets a little complicated. Now, remember, even though we're doing peripheral, we still come back into the CNS because that is where the pathway is going to be coming, right? That two-directional highway from brain to peripheral, from peripheral to brain. So in this area here, we are going from peripheral to CNS with the receptor level, the circuit level, the perceptual level. So we're going in these 3 different phases. So make sure that we understand, okay, we have our muscle. Don't worry about the joint area, but make sure you know your 3 areas. And I probably won't even ask you what this is, this area, because that could be questionable. Like, it's just a circle. How do you know that's the thalamus? It could be the thalamus. Now this one here, yes, that is the cerebellum. Yes, we know that one. Yeah, but even this is questionable. Like kind of the area, pons, medulla, the reticular formation, like, because it's not the most detailed image. So FYI, right? I'm not going to be asking you about these things here. I'm going to be asking you about this here, probably this here, because that's, I'm going to say a horrible joke, but that's a no-brainer. Yeah, I know. But yeah, so that's the situation with that particular image. This one, yes, this is the mapping of what we call the referred pain. And it's where we were talking about, hey, like this is kind of important. We were talking about left arm, right, in terms of heart situations, right? It's not the right one, because remember, this is anatomical position here we're looking at. The individual, palms forward, feet slightly apart, looking straight at you. This is the classical anatomical position. And we're looking at the blue area and we're seeing a little bit on the heart situation here. So please keep that in mind, all right, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, also the appendix. Which side is it? Left side, right side? Where is this? Where is this happening? Gallbladder, right? Where's this happening? Um, yeah, so just kind of keep that a little bit, keep those things in mind, all right? This mapping part. So I'm sure I'm gonna play with this here for a little bit. Now this one here is very important. Let me go back, sorry. Well, let's see if I did I break it down into two? Yes, there we go. All right, what is this? I may ask you, what is this? Well, it's the structure of the nerve. And we're looking at the different parts within it. Endoneurium, perineurium, epineurium, the blood vessels. And within each of these, we still have that axon and some myelin sheath, right? This one, please make sure, of course, you know that. Now, going back here, all right, let's take a look at this one. Of course, this has to be done. Please keep in mind, I know it doesn't show it. I wish it had, it should, it really should show you the dimension. Like what is this? Are we looking at, what is this? Is this in feet? Is this in millimeters? Is this in micrometers? What is it measured in? That's a very important thing in terms of the scientific community. We always want to show what is the distance. So we have a scale, and we always want to show what was used for this. Now, just based off my experience, some sort of SEM, please make sure you write that down in your notes. Some scanning electron microscopy, some forms or different types. We're not into that. We're not getting into that because we're not in the course that goes over all that, all these different laboratory techniques. But we are going to be, this is most likely an SEM, scanning electron microscopy. SEM. Here, let me break it down for you. This is what we looked at, the regeneration. We broke this down. This is kind of be more of a lecture question, kind of, a little bit. But I may just throw in this picture and give you, okay, you see this here? This here is a little bit of a larger, bold font. It says the axon fragments, because look where we're at. It's zoomed in here. Right? Cell body, axon terminals, myelin sheath, and there is some damage that has occurred here. We went through the regeneration process. That will definitely be asked of you in your lecture exam. But my idea here is that, what do I do here in the lab exam? But I think I'm gonna put the axon fragment as a choice. Here, Schwann cells and macrophages clean out that axon distal to the injury, something to that extent. Axon filaments grow, or I'm going to say maybe a regeneration tube. And then the axon regenerates and maybe new myelin sheath forms. I can go that route and make this a B, C, D multiple choice question by showing you the images and asking you which ones. Do you guys have kind of understand where I'm going with that? All right, so you're going to want to be focusing on those, or the next to the numbers, like the 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like the title to the picture that we're looking at. And so I would like for you to know what you're looking at. Yes, please go and read. I'm giving you this review. Please read more details on that within that particular slide, but trying to coach you a little bit on how I plan to show you that the way it's going to be designed and what's kind of in my mind. Now here we go into cranial, and I wanted to just talk about some of the bold stuff. We've mentioned this before, filaments of the olfactory nerve. Make sure you know the areas that are in bold, please. That's where I'm going to be focusing on. Now, of course, something that's going to be kind of a freebie I can throw in there that it should be something you should, boom, knock out the park real quick, is that this is the front, just for orientation purposes, this is frontal lobe. This is the temporal lobe, right? This is the cerebellum. This is the medulla oblongata. So yes, you may not be focusing on all the other tracks, and right, we may not be going there. We're going to be focusing more on the bold areas. But again, orientation, right? Let's make sure like that it's all fine and dandy that we get all these nerves. Wonderful, great, awesome. But let's not forget the big picture, right? Where are we? That's the frontal, that's temporal, right? Cerebellum, and again, medulla oblongata, because those are very important. And it's just the basics. I want home runs when I ask you those type of questions. Here I'm just gonna be focusing it on lumbar, sacral nerves, thoracic, cervical. That's it. I'm not really going to be getting into the numbers, T1, T12, L5. Like, that's awesome. I really do think that's cool. But I would like you to let's make sure we understand the regions first. Okay, let's get these regions down, and then let's get over here and say, okay, cervical plexus, bronchial plexus, and we know that we have an enlargement there. Again, we'll focus on here, ventral root, dorsal root. Not so much here, ladies and gentlemen. Important, but I'm a little nervous again as I start pointing. If the students may be wondering, hey, where is that? Where is that? And I don't like to get into those grading situations. So I'm going to be more focused on something like this, and this. Right? That's what I'm going to be doing. And of course, please don't miss the white matter, gray matter, right? We can't do that. Pharynx nerve. That's the one I wanted to make sure we point out here, this pharynx nerve. And remember, we're going to get into some homeostatic imbalances, and as we go forward, and we're going to talk about things, damage to the pharynx nerve. What does that do? And that's how we're trying to build, we're trying to build the knowledge gaps between this. Again, remember we talked about this, the anterior divisions, posterior trunks, and the roots. So in this particular case, I'm really just focused on, okay, this right here are the trunks. What is that? Where is that? These are the trunks, right? Where are the roots? Well, it's kind of color coded, right, for us, right? We get that. So that's what I kind of really want to focus on, and our chords. Here, when we take a look at this, I will not be asking you about the skeletal because we've already got it, so we won't go into the ulna or the radius, but we should have an understanding of those Bolden nerves, like the radial nerve, the ulnar nerve, the median nerve. Make sure the musculocutaneous nerves, those four, let's make sure we get those. Now here, all right, let's take a look at where we're at. And we're taking a quick look here. We're looking more on lumbar area. You can see this is going to be hip area, right? That's not a shoulder. And hey, we want to make sure we can definitely identify that they're all important, but that femoral is very large, very long femoral. Okay. Here, we're going to be taking a look at this, and one of the longest ones that we've been focusing on in the nerves is the what? What's the one of the longest ones, guys?
I always thought it was the sciatic nerve.
Yeah, yeah, that is correct. It's very long. So make sure we have that down. Make sure we get that down. Some people suffer from it, some people don't. Here, we're just looking at motor control and interactions, right? So I wanted this image like this just so you can review it. It helps you kind of put a few things in order. I'm not gonna ask on that. I'm not gonna ask it in the lab exam, but let me see if I expanded that one. Yes, I did. So we have this expanded, so you can take a look, kind of learn some stuff there. And then this one was expanded. So it's this, right? Not focusing much on that one, but this part, yes. And then now zooming in, saying, hey, what are we looking at here? Segmented level, right? That's, we're going to be spinal cord. Projection level, primary cortex, brainstem nuclei, and then the pre-command level, cerebellum, basal nuclei. Now these, you need to know your parts. This one, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 5 basic components, right? And we're looking at a stimulus, right? So something that is going to be resulting in a stimulus. What is it going to be going through? So you have to have so you have the stimulus, then the stimulus must have a receptor. You're somehow, some way it's receiving that stimulus. The receptor then has a sensory neuron, which then goes into an integration center. And from integration, we always go to motor neuron and then to the effector, right? So keep the path, keep that path going. And remember, where is this path? This path is not going in this way like this, right? It's not. We're going from this way. So make sure you get your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. Here, there we go. I wanted to take a look briefly at a tendon reflex and breaking it down into a 1, 2, and then a 3A, 3B, focusing on the blue areas. Don't worry too much. Yes, I know we have our a tendon here and less. Yeah, we're gonna be moving in this direction, keeping your arrows in all, keeping excitatory, right, and inhibitory in mind. Okay, but what I want to show here is, let me zoom in because I know that color that little light blue can be difficult to read sometimes. So we have the quadriceps strongly contracts, tendon organs are activated. Okay. 2, remember that word, afferent. We talked about it. We talked about its directions. Afferent, right? Fibers, synapses. Where is that going? Well, it's going to be moving toward a CNS, from a PNS to the CNS, and in this case, it's a muscle moving towards spinal cord. Afferent fibers, synapses with interneurons in the spinal cord. Got it. Okay, we have our afferent, right? PNS to CNS. Keep this in mind. Could be a lab exam question. Afferent, PNS to CNS. Efferent. Now we're coming back, right? Now we're coming in from CNS. CNS being brain and spinal cord. Spinal cord. So now efferent coming backwards. So efferent impulses to the muscle with stretched tendon and it's dampened. So we have the muscles relaxes, reducing the tension. So we have we can't keep it tensed all the time. Yes, it can happen. Yes, we can get into situations like with tetanus, and we are now all specialists on that. Yeah, it can come back and it can affect the efferent impulses, right, guys? We really, I think if we went to any school and if any of you talked about tetanus mechanisms, you would be able to describe this and how your efferent is kind of messed up And as a result, you have no impulses in terms of relaxing. So muscles relaxes, reduces intention. We're not having that communication. Efferent's not there. So this one just spazzing out. And that's when we see children and all these other videos that I showed you of the spasms, right? Because we have a error in the communication loop that we have going on here. And again, efferent impulses and they are to antagonist muscles cause it to contract, right? So we always have this balance, this homeostasis going on. And here I didn't get too much into this stuff here, but I kind of wanted to use this a little bit with the alcoholic neuropathy, but we didn't have the time. We just didn't. But what I do want you to understand is take a look at this and make sure you understand your excitatory and your inhibitory. Very similar to what we talked about over here. Only difference is that now we're looking at two legs being moved here, but it's the same thing. The same thing is applying. The same principles are here. It may look a little more complicated, but it really isn't. It's the same efferent going on. Now, for these, I will be specifically focusing on the homeostatic imbalances, okay? In red. Now, in some cases, I will be discussing clinical testing. So it's going to be one of these or both, right? So this blue or red, for sure in the red. Some cases, I won't be focusing on clinical testing, okay? So again, make sure you get your blues and your reds down, because that is what we already went through all these in ridiculous detail, to be very honest. And so make sure you focus on those. In this case right here, we're looking at just one. We're looking at this one, and we're not doing the testing. In some cases, it's very similar. Again, just reiterating, your focus will be here. Yeah, you want to read it, you know. Some of you don't need to read all of it. Some of you are already familiar with this stuff. But again, homeostatic imbalances. And we should have our 30 questions from those PowerPoints. And that is the end of this lab exam review. I didn't give you a review, right, on the 12th? No? Okay. So there's your review. Let's get some feedback to me, guys. What do some of you think about it? Useful, not useful, helps a little bit? Where are we at?
For an understanding.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, where do we find it?
I haven't posted it yet. I just made it this morning.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, but you know where you find it, right?
Yes.
Once I publish it. Okay, great.
Yes, got it.
Yeah. No. I wrapped it up minutes before lecture.
Sorry, it was very useful.
Thanks, Estrella. Yeah, because we have a lot of images, but let's be realistic, right? I can't give you. I could probably come up with like 700 questions on images alone, just in one chapter, easy. And if I asked you on every little detail, we could. Thank you, Araceli. So for the comment on the chat. So, all right. I'm glad it's useful for you. I just want to know if it's useful. Some of you don't need it. Some of you don't need the reviews. Some of you are perfectly fine, because we're all different, perfectly fine with like even not attending the lectures and just watching the lectures and then just reading the announcements and moving forward. For some, it's useful. Some of us like the way my learning. Can I do it? If someone just said, here, just go do it, I could. But I like lectures. And the reason for it is because it's like a story for me. And I can draw parallels. Like if someone were to ask a question, a student asked the question, I'm like, oh yeah, that student asked this. Oh yeah, I remember that. And it just helps. So, all right. That is where we're at for our lab. Do we have any questions? Okay, well, we're done. And I will load up your exam now. Okay, I'll be working on that. So keep an eye on that. Okay, I will, of course, as always, I will send out, I'm talking about lecture exam. I'll send out an announcement that it's been published, the lecture exam, and I will then, we have so much time to do it. And now all that is in there. Again, please make sure that you do not hit that red button which says take the quiz until you're ready to take the quiz. Right? Make sure you don't do that. And if you have like spotty internet at certain times, let's say live in an apartment area and at certain times their internet's just a little slower, hey, try to use it in a time when it's not, when they're maybe later or earlier in the morning, so you can make sure that you're able to have good Wi-Fi, good internet, and to be able to do the exam, because it's important. Our reception of internet is just, without it, you can't do assignments. Without it, you can't take exams. We rely on it. So please make sure you think tactically on how you want to do that. Again, you have days to do the exam. You have quite a few days to do it. So think about it. Find a time that works best for you. Okay. But again, please remember that if things happen toward the last day where internet goes down and stuff like that, or my laptop didn't work, I can't help you, because you're supposed to try to get it at least the day before the last day. So the way I would really like you guys to live your lives in terms of deadlines is do it at least the day before the deadline. Because you never know what's going to happen. If you plan it for the last day, darn Mr. Murphy. Mr. Murphy is the thing when people say Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. You're going to have a flat tire. Something's going to happen with maybe a child at school, or a child's going to fall, scrape his or her knee, or something's going to happen on the last day you need to do the exam. It's happened to me more times than I can count. And I'm just trying to tell you, Mr. Murphy always rolls up on the last day of the deadline. Someone's digging a hole somewhere, and I don't know, and hits a fiber optic cable, and then all the internet's down. It just never fails, right? I cannot explain the phenomena. I can't, but some of you, probably 50% or more, know exactly what I'm talking about. It just never fails, right? You know, so please use that last day as an emergency. Your last day as an emergency. Always try to do it the day before your deadline. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I hope all of you are doing well, and I will see you all on Thursday. I may make up a lecture on Wednesday, post for you, so make sure we're up to speed and everything. So just keep an eye out for that. But first, today, keep an eye out for that announcement on your lecture exam. I want to wish everyone a wonderful day. Take care and bye.
Thank you,
Have a good
sir.
one, sir.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Have a good day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hope you feel better.
Hey, thank you.